Welcome back to yet another episode of the podcast, What It Is with me, Princess Safa. And this annoying little person here is someone that I know. So we're gonna get a little personal, okay? As the title of this video denotes, we're naive. Why are you reading my script? We're talking about 5. We're talking about 5 things I wish I knew before immigrating to the US. This will be helpful for you if you're looking forward to immigrating to the US, if you are newly, or if like me, you just like to be all in people's business. So let's get into it.
You're ruining the sisterhood that we're trying to establish.
So for me, my first thing will be, I wish I knew how to... Let's get into it. My family and I immigrated from Liberia in West Africa to the US in 2018. We live in Illinois currently. So there are some things that I've come to the conclusion that if I knew how these things worked here, it would have made my transition from a totally different continent to another. It would have made it really, really easy. Number 1 on that list is loneliness. There were 2 ways that I experienced loneliness here that I feel like if I had known, it wouldn't have hit me as hard as it did, you know? So first thing, I lived in Pinsville City in Liberia. So it was really noisy. Very, very noisy. Not that I minded. We would wake up to noise from entertainment centers, from nightclubs around, from the street vendors, and from car loaders, you know, people helping you to get into cars, doing transportation stuff. A lot of taxi drivers. And one thing in Liberia, people honk the horns a lot. We make use of the horns on the cars, like ping, 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 ping. So you will hear that 24/7, right? So I grew up in that kind of environment, and I liked it. I liked the noise. So coming here and just being thrust into the kind of deafening silence of the suburbs, like I live in a village right now. It is really quiet. And even though there are like stores and groceries and all sort of stuff around, it's still very quiet. The sounds you hear is probably from the birds, from the cars just driving along. Not that I'm complaining, but I am complaining about it though. The first week that we were here, it was so silent. I think it was probably even more silent than Silent Night. The second way I kind of experienced loneliness is in that loss of social and physical connection. Like I had some friends back home that I lost touch with, you know, just some people, like you're used to certain people being around all the time, and then when you leave and now those people are not surrounding you all the time, like I didn't know that it would be that lonely. It would have helped me lower my expectations for sure. Even though the internet does exist to keep you kind of digitally connected to these people, you also have to wrestle with the fact that data connectivity is not the same everywhere, especially where I'm from. It's not always accessible, and sometimes the network may be slow here, or sometimes people are busy. There's a huge time difference, so you now have to work around a whole lot of other things just to talk to someone that you used to talk to every single day when you were there. Like you would see them, you bump into them, you hang out with them, and now you don't do that anymore. And you've left a place where you were in the majority, and all of a sudden, like, it's just you. It's just you here. And that can bring such like a strong sense of self-awareness that can just make you feel a little bit more introverted than your normal self. It was hard. The first month was really, really hard. Even if you have friends and family here, it's still really hard, and it takes a while to get used to. So number 2 thing that I wish I knew how to do before coming here was learning to drive. I live in the suburbs currently. Public transportation is not as reliable in the suburbs as it is when you live in a bigger city. Sometimes the suburbs can be a bit inaccessible if you don't own a car. Now, I don't even know how to ride a bicycle. That's the first thing, okay?
What?
I feel like if I had known how to drive, it would have cut down the time that it took me to muster up the courage to even get behind a wheel and go and do my driving test. It's really scary. I don't even want to think about like merging on the highway or just driving really long distances on a tollway where all the cars are going like 80 miles per hour or 120, and you're just sitting over there like, ah, don't kill me. What was lucky for me is that I have family here. I had my uncle who taught me how to drive, but it still took me almost like a month to go and do my driving test because I was so nervous. If you are like an international student or you're coming here alone, driving school is really expensive. You'll be paying up to like $150 per session, and I don't think this session goes anywhere above 2 hours. So imagine paying $150 for like an hour and a half or for 2 hours just for someone to take you across the street a couple of times, and that's it. You're not gonna learn that in one day. So if you don't have someone here who will be of help to you, especially when it comes to wanting to drive, learn how to do it before you come here. Ubers and Lyfts are really expensive, especially if you have to use them as frequently. They get really expensive. Number 3 is how to use a credit card. In Liberia, we do not have a credit scoring system, right? We do not have institutions that will track your credit history and assign you a score that other businesses can look at before they borrow you money. What we have is like a credit reference system that's managed by the Central Bank of Liberia. So the central bank will manually collect a borrower's data and then share it with financial institutions. One thing I noticed that when I came here, a lot of people were like, oh, you shouldn't get a credit card. That will put you in debt quickly. But what they didn't mention was the reason why you go into debt quickly is because you don't know how to use a credit card. A quick story about this. Right after I got my driver's license, I got a secondhand vehicle, right? So when I needed to get another car, I went to a car dealership. So at the car dealership, you can either pay out of pocket if you have like a couple digits to drop on a car immediately there and then, good for you. But if you don't, you're going to apply for a loan from any kind of agency that will give you some money to put towards the purchase of your car at an interest rate. I had zero credit history. I had no open accounts, nothing. Never used a credit card before, and a credit card is the one sure and quickest way to build your credit score. The more you use it and you pay off on time, the more your credit score increases. And if you reduce the amount of loans that you have, the amount of debt that you have, that also increases your credit score. If you had a credit card or if you had a credit history for like 10 years above, 5 above, you have a good chance of having a high credit score. So my credit score was literally below the 600s, which is bad. I had zero credit history and I was applying for a loan for a car. The interest on that loan was about 16%, something where the average is like 7%. I got 16% interest. I wish that I knew that, you know, building credit would be better and quicker with a credit card. And I wish that I knew how to manage and use a credit card effectively so that I could build credit before I go and get a loan. My credit history will not be great, but the fact that I can show to a lender that I have made many on-time payments on a loan, it increases my trustworthiness, and that would have given me a much lower interest rate. Number 4 is grace. Ooh, grace, guys, grace.
Stop it. Get some help.
I wish I started giving myself more grace before I could even come here. When you're coming here as an immigrant, there is so much expectation. You're leaving your home and you're coming over here to a place that's, you know, I don't know, filled with milk and honey or whatever. People expect so much of you. Even you expect so much of yourself that you come here and you want to grind, you want to hustle, you want to succeed, and it can put so much pressure on you. And one thing that reduces that pressure is to give yourself some grace. To know that it's okay, that you don't always have to be on the grind. You don't always have to be on the hustle every time. Like, you can relax a little, that you can breathe, you know? So number 5, and my final point, is audacity. The one thing that Americans have in spades here is audacity. Like the audacity to do whatever they want to do and not care. So I come from the Pella tribe in Liberia. And there's a saying that we have in Liberia concerning Pella people. What we say, Pella people stupid. Actually, that's not even a saying. That is just rude. That is just plain rude. Like, because that's actually just rude. That's not a saying. What I've gathered, or at least what Pella people have been telling themselves that it means, is that we humble to a fault. Like, we are submissive to a fault. We are kind to a fault, where you let people to walk all over you just because you're trying to be really hospitable. And I noticed that with so many immigrants who come here, at least some people that I know, that we settle so quickly. Everything, like, be it concerning a job, concerning where to live, concerning certain things that we do, we are so quick to settle. Having a little bit of audacity is just what it takes to get to the next level. And I think that's something that we all have to come here with the mindset of, yes, it's okay to be humble, but at some point in time, you have to realize that if it's not serving you, you've got to change it up. So I wish that I knew that coming here, people will really test you. People will really test you. And sometimes you just need to be audacious enough, and you have to speak up for yourself, because no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to speak up for you. These are not just lessons that I've learned, but things that I think if you are aware of before coming here, it can make your transition so much smoother. And also it can lower your expectations and really help you manage your mental health and manage your time here. But let me know in the comment section, what are some things that if you've been here for a while, or if you've been here for a much shorter time, let me know what are some things that you think that would have helped you even greatly. Or if there's something else you would like to know more about, do let me know. I'll be happy to do another video to just talk about them more. It was great having you on as always, and I hope you have a good day. And bye bye.